that whole blood, sweat, and tears. We've cried together, we've laughed together, we've made mistakes together, we've had great successes together. It's a journey and it's not simple. And I think that's the main thing I would pass along. Be ready for it, but be committed to it. It can be definitely very rewarding, which has been our experience.
Hey there, CEOs. My name is Brandee Gaar, and I am on a mission to help you, the wedding industry entrepreneur, to build a profitable wedding business that you actually love. I want to ask you, have you ever thought of writing a book? If you've been in the industry for any amount of time, you've likely been told by a friend or a coworker that you should write a book. There's so many crazy things that happen to us in this industry, right? And putting it all in a book just sounds like such a great idea. But then you start to think, maybe that's a lot of work. I'm busy already, and I don't even know where to start or how I would get it published or what it would even be about. Well, on today's show, my guests, Jerry Solomon and Edna Dratch Parker, are both wedding pros in New England and Boston. And they came together over the last several years to write a book on how to plan a wedding. What I love about this book is that they did a really great job of simply setting the foundation of wedding planning for couples, for newly engaged couples. They don't get into pricing and markets, things that would vary by market. They aren't trying to replace a wedding planner. In fact, they tell you that having a wedding planner is actually super important to planning your wedding. But they do really set the foundation for engaged couples to help alleviate some of those questions that we answer over and over again as wedding pros. If you've ever thought about writing a book, Edna and Jerry talk about their journey of writing and publishing their book, as well as what it's done for their businesses and why you should really consider authoring a book if that's something that's been on your bucket list. So, you guys, I know that you're going to enjoy this episode. So, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Okay, you guys, today's episode is going to be a lot of fun because I have two guests instead of one, which always makes for a party, right? We're going to have a total party here on the podcast today, but also because we are giving you a peek behind the scenes of Jerry and Edna's new book called A Guide to Smart Wedding Planning. If you're watching on YouTube, you can actually see me holding up the book right here. But we are going to talk all about why they made this book, why they decided to write a book, how they collaborated on it, how it's changed their businesses and added to the authority of their brands. I know so many of my listeners are like, should I write a book? I don't know. It seems like a big undertaking. So they're going to give you all the good, the bad, and the ugly of what it was like to produce this book. It's a beautiful book. I absolutely love the cover. I think it's so fun. It's very eye-catching, and it's a great book. I got an advanced copy, so I was able to read it already. I am so excited to introduce you to Edna and Jerry. They are both wedding pros out of Boston and the greater New England area, and they co-wrote this book. So ladies, welcome to the show.
Hi,
Thank
thank you so much
you.
for having us. We're
Yes,
excited.
I'm
Excited to
so
be here.
Me too. Me too. This is going to be fun. We were talking a little bit before the show, and I was like, ladies, I want to know all the things about writing a book. Has it helped your brand? How has it helped your brand? How'd you even come up with the idea? Who wrote what? And so we're going to dig into all of that. I don't know any of these answers. I just was saying, Ken, is this the angle we can go with? And they were like, yes, let's go. So, ladies, before we get too far into it, will each of you give us like your elevator speech of who you are as a wedding pro in the industry?
Sure. I'll start. I'm Jerry Solomon, and my company is Jerry Solomon Floral Design. And I do wedding flowers in Boston and a little bit beyond that. And I've been in business for almost 30 years. And so I've seen a couple of recessions, a pandemic, and I'm still here. And I would describe my work as classic and timeless. I love helping people kind of flesh out their vision.
So good. Okay. I love it.
I'm Edna Dratch Parker with EFD Creative Event Planning and Design. That's my wedding planning business. I'm also part of a collaborative called For Luxure, Premium Wedding Planner Collective with 3 other Boston wedding planners. And I also help build and brand event planning businesses and creative businesses with my years of experience doing that. Very exciting. And I absolutely love being involved with event professionals. So that's my
Yeah.
background.
So good. And now how long have you had your business?
I've been a creative for a really long time. I won't tell you that. way my age, but I started in 2009 with my event
Okay.
planning business, but I've always been branding since a long time.
I love it. I love it. Okay. And Jerry, 30 years, you definitely have seen like the pandemic, but then we had the Great Recession, what, in 2008?
Mhm.
That was when I
Yep,
first came into the market. And
yep.
you've probably even seen the dot-com burst, like all the things.
Oh, yeah. And I started my business basically before the internet was a thing, like had an
Yeah.
AOL address and dial up and remember creating a website for the first time. But I've rolled with all of it.
Yep.
You don't stay in it this long unless you recognize what needs to change and grow and flow and
And the
all of
ups
it.
and
So
downs.
that's the ups and downs. How to keep up with the times, like
Yeah.
especially in this industry when you're working with 20 and 30 somethings, you have to stay fresh and you have to keep up with the things. And so that's good.
Yeah, no, it
Keeps
is
me on
so
my
important. I
toes.
mean, to stay relevant in this business for 30 years, you really do have to change with it. I have a
Mhm.
really great friend here in my market who's been in business 30 years as well. And hearing her stories, I mean, she'd already been in business 15 years when I came into the market. Here, I think I'm like this seasoned wedding pro. And she's like, girl, I had Yellow Page ads. Oh, like we used to put our work on flash drives. Even that was like fancy at the time. And
Mhm.
so it's so interesting to see how it's changed so much, but to stay relevant, you've got to keep up with what, how people are shopping. So I think that's so
Exactly.
interesting. Okay, so you've both been in the industry for a long time. Tell me how the idea even for this book came about.
Edna and I met through networking. We're both love networking, and we met in a group called the Boston Wedding Group, which is both very near and dear to both of our hearts. We're both on the board right now. I'm one of the founding members. Again, this has been in 28 years or so. And it is a referral networking group in the Boston area, and it is very robust and very powerful in terms of what it does for our business. But in any case, we met there and we became fast friends, and we realized we had a lot in common, just like neighboring towns we grew up in, fathers in same professions. We're both one of three daughters, like all these things. And
Our
then
husbands are both named Jim,
husbands are both named Jim, and
just
our
all things.
yeah, our aunts were in the same retirement community. We found that out. So lots of different things. And my sister, I have a sister born in France. Edna's born in France. Like bizarre, crazy things. So that kind of combined our friendship, and then we also worked on a lot of weddings. We had a combination professional and friendship. And so one day, what happened, Edna? I'll toss it over to you.
And one day we were talking about the frustrations of just all the misinformation or talking with couples, and couples are just there's a lot of realizing there's so much education that we needed to impart upon our couples. And so through that process, we started to say, what are we going to do? Like, how can we get that information out there? And we went back and forth. And still to this day, we don't remember exactly who said it first, but someone said, we should write a book. And the other person said, yeah, we should write a book. And since I'm the type of person, when I say I'm going to do something, I always follow through till the end, which can be a great thing and sometimes not. But then we got excited. We're like, yeah, we have all this information. And we also know so many people in the Boston market, other professionals, and we can always gather information of whatever. I feel like we knew it all. We've been through it all in the trenches, as they say. I'm sure you know that feeling. And so we just decided, let's do it. Let's do it. This can't be that hard, right, Jerry? Come
Famous
to
last
I don't know
words.
if I don't know.
find out it wasn't quite as simple as we thought it was going to be.
But I think what really drove us was that we felt like there was really misinformation out there,
Yeah.
and that a lot of the information was being given by the editor of a magazine who recycled the information from another editor or from the woman who planned one wedding. And it's like, I have all the answers.
Yeah.
And we didn't really find a lot of information from people who actually are in the know. And we felt like we both felt very compelled that we needed to fix that. And we thought at that time, because it was a while ago, we thought that the best way to do that was to write a book. And
Yeah.
so we embarked on
It's so funny listening to you guys because I think every wedding pro ever has been told you should write a book because you've got the craziest stories, and no one really does anything. Most of us
no,
don't actually go write a book, right? Because we're like, That's a big
we're
undertaking." And
busy.
yeah, and we're busy. Like we have enough things going on dealing with all the crazy. So How did you decide what the book would be about? Like, take us back to the beginning, spitballing the ideas.
Well, I
So
think
there was
sorry, Jerry.
no, go ahead.
I think for me, when I get calls from people and they are telling me their budget and they're telling me this and they're telling me all their visions and all the things that they want, and I'm thinking in the back of my head immediately, they're not going to be able to have all those things. So they talk about these Pinterest boards or they talk about this wedding that they saw on TV or whatever it may be. And it breaks my heart because I feel like I'm going to have to have this conversation with them. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's while I'm driving in my car or I'm on the road and I feel like I'm constantly having this conversation in my car. This conversation goes on all the time and it's so frustrating. So
Yeah.
I think for me, it was like, this isn't about what is the hairstyles or the crazy stories, because there are crazy stories and we all know them and we all have them in our back pocket. But
Yeah.
this isn't about the crazy stories. This is about you want to plan a wedding. Let's talk about what's realistic and what's going to work and how to make it less stressful, at least a little less stressful. We'll always be
Yeah.
stressed. We cannot take that away fully. How can we help you with, because you're going to have family dynamics. How can we
Yep.
help you understand what a budget is?
Yep.
Going into it with all the right information is going to give you success at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
And I
true.
think for me, I've always felt that, first of all, nobody knows anything about flowers. So there's always a huge education curve on that.
Very true.
And I just felt like it was a public service
Yeah.
that oh, seriously, like that people need to understand this. And this is such a big project and people are overwhelmed. And I know my nature is such that sometimes I would hear it on the phone. I don't really know a lot about flowers. I'll be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's my job. And I could even through a phone hear people kind of, "Ooh," like the tension go away, like, "Oh, Jerry's gonna take care of me." And that's what I impart in my own business. Sure, I do pretty flowers, but I also feel like I want to take care of people. So I
Yeah.
think there's an extension of that. And I think Edna has that too, that we wanted people to feel good about this really what should be a fun process, not without its
Sure.
crazy,
Sure.
but how can we mitigate the crazy? And we hope that we've done that. And so we've really done this. We've taken the steps and we talk about the steps. It's not like the sexy steps.
Yeah.
Don't run out and buy your dress first thing, because there's a lot of other things you need to do before that. So
Mhm.
we're really taking people down to that first level
Yes.
that I don't think is done elsewhere. And I think is so important because you can't build a house without a good foundation. You can't build your wedding journey without the
The
foundation.
foundation. Yeah.
And
As a
so many people skip that.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. As a wedding planner myself, I can't tell you how many clients, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this over the years, that are like, I'm a teacher, so I just need to get everything done right now in these 3 months of summer. And I'm like, man, that's not how it works. Like, and I don't mean to be difficult. That's just not, it doesn't work like that. Like, first, we have to set the foundation and we have to understand, like, here's where we're working. We have to make sure we understand the date and the season and the venue. And there's so much more that goes into it. We can't just like
Yeah.
book everybody. And I think that's a big mistake that couples make.
Yeah.
One of the things I love that you did throughout the book is you have these real deal facts.
Okay.
And they're hard hitting, right? They're like, no, but this is for real, right? Like,
Yeah.
the book itself is really great for, I can see how it would lead a couple literally from like you're engaged to the very end, right? It's not meant to replace a wedding planner or to replace the
No.
wedding
Not at
pros.
all.
Not at all. But it is meant to give them a little bit more education about what they're doing. A lot of my listeners will know that I compare wedding planning with my husband and I are doing a very large renovation to our house. It's
Yes.
been complete chaos.
100%.
And I swear I can relate to my clients so much more after this process because I just don't know. Like, I want to understand, we have a contract with our contractor. It's very detailed, but there's still things that keep coming up that either I want to change or I see on Pinterest and I'm like, am I allowed to ask you to change this? Are we too far along in the process? When do I need to pick tile? What do I pick windows before I pick doors? Like, I have so
Yes.
many questions.
You don't know
And
what you don't know.
We
you
say
have
that all
no
the time.
idea. Yeah, and it's helped me relate to my couples in saying it's really not their fault that they have questions.
No.
They're not trying to overstep. I make my contractor crazy and I so don't mean to, right? Because I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know if you can do this or not. Like, here's an idea I had last night, or this is important to me. I didn't know I needed an electrical outlet here, but I do want one. And these are the things our clients go through as well. And it's our job to kind of let them know what's coming, let them know what the next steps are, because they're walking blind when we don't do that. So, this book I really love because I think you guys did a really phenomenal job of not making it seem like it was to replace your wedding planner, but to really
Not
just
at all.
give them enough knowledge to be able to choose great professionals to work with, because they've got a foundation of knowledge that they're working with, right?
And also
We wanted
explain.
people to be educated consumers. It's like when
Yes.
you buy a car, you go, there's so many places online to get, so you can walk onto the car lot and not feel afraid of the salesman.
Yeah.
I want everybody to be able to go to whatever vendor they're looking at and ask the right question.
Mhm.
You know,
And
sorry.
that's what we're doing. We're actually sneak peek. We're building more things for people to be
Oh,
able to
well,
ask those
a
questions,
workbook is coming soon.
Love it.
among other things.
Brandee, I just want to mention at the time when we were in the thick of writing this book, we were putting an addition on our home. And I was constantly comparing it to that. And I want to also say we have wedding planner friends who actually get our books and they give them to their clients as gifts when they come on board. Not
Mhm.
only them, but we have venues that also do that. People in the industry, because one of the things that we love through this process is the camaraderie that we are getting with vendors, with people in the industry. And people are putting our links, vendor friends are putting our book links on their
Yes.
signatures. It's been really exciting. So I think it's really important to mention how much it means to us too to have the community embrace this because they know this information is really good and they want to make sure that they're getting it out as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It
it's been
And
a great experience that way.
I could see it being a really great for a planner, venue, honestly, really any vendor to give as a welcome gift, because it's like it's cute, but it's also, and it's a fun read, but it's really very helpful. Reading through it myself, I was thinking, yeah, these are tips I would totally give to my couples. And I love that you're creating a workbook to go with it. I was actually going to ask, okay, ladies, so you've put so much time into this book, and really so much energy, and I'm sure that there's been a lot of times where you're like, should that go in the book? Should that not go in the book? We don't know, like back and forth, especially trying to collaborate on it. How has this really extended your brand, or has it extended your brand? I guess my question is more like, what is the ROI on it? And I don't think that
Mhm.
necessarily has to be
Right.
dollars and cents. I'm sure that'll come eventually. But what has that been like?
Can I speak to that?
Yeah.
For me, because I help build and brand other wedding professional businesses
Okay.
in this area, and they're so excited for me that I have this book, and it really they're like, "Wow, she wrote a book," and it's exciting for them because they feel like, "Wow, she's got the inside scoop," and it builds the brand. It sort of levels up, what we're doing and how we're we're out there. For
Mhm.
example, we were recently picked up by you probably don't have oh, I think you do have this in Florida, the Paper Store. So that's a really big chain in New England and Florida. And when people hear that, they're like, "Oh my God, that's so exciting." So it just levels up everything like oh yeah, because there's a paper store like in every other town here in Massachusetts. You can go in and see it and just there's that whole feeling of we did it. Like when it's like
Yeah.
saying when you go to college, right? Like a lot of times back in my day, it wasn't so much about the major that you picked. It was like you actually completed college. You went,
Yep.
you graduated, you have a degree, go out in life. Might be different now.
Yep.
But this is the same way. Like we said we were going to write a book, we wrote a book and we got it out into the universe. To do that accomplishment, I think people admire that because and it helps build the brand that way. Like they're doers. They get
Yeah.
stuff done. And
Yeah.
that's basically my personal motto.
I love that it adds a lot of credibility. I think just being able to say, "Yeah, we authored a book." It adds a lot of credibility to your brand. What about you, Jerry, as a wedding pro? How do you feel like it has, or how are you expecting it to provide some ROI for your business?
I think it definitely adds just another level of expertise. Being in the business a long time, I have that, but it's been interesting. I actually have gotten someone, they called me and I always ask, how did you find me? And
Yeah.
she said, oh, and I'm ready to write down like Google or Instagram or such and such hotel. And she said, I read your book. And I said, And she was like the first one that said that. That was so exciting. So yeah, there's another piece of that. I think it's also, I'm all about the networking and the building of relationships with my vendor partners, and to see how much they're supporting me has been just like, I'm going to get a little teared up. I think like it's been really, really special.
Yes. It's been amazing.
Yes. I think that's, sorry, I just spoke over. I've been working really hard on these things, and I would do anything for these people. And I'm seeing that back to me.
Yeah.
We recently had a book signing, and vendors that we know, love, and trust come by, visit us. Just that the connection. It's Boston's I mean, I can't speak for other markets, but Boston is an awesome market, and there's so much camaraderie in this market, at least from my experience.
So I don't even know how this is kind of bred upon the water or whatever. Like it's definitely, you never know what is going to make a difference. And I feel like I just feel like we're just building more, and we won't ask us in 6 months. Ask us in a year. Like we just don't know where the path is leading exactly. Like we have ideas, but I think our friends are definitely going to help us along the way. And I think that's really special.
So I would ask you, if anybody's listening and they're like, oh, I've wanted to write a book. I have an idea. I don't know if I can do it. What advice would you give them to make that decision?
I would say have a partner like Edna, or have a someone that you can be accountable to, because she mentioned this earlier, when she says something, like it gets done. Not that I'm not like that, but I'm just not gonna lie. There were times where I was ready to be like throwing the towel, and so that I think it's important.
I'm taking that. I'm finishing a book.
Yeah. So that's one thing. I think expect it to take a long time, and expect it to be a journey and a challenge. And I likened it to like gestating and birthing a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was that that is the only other experience I've had it like it. And there were times where people would be like, how's the book? And that's like asking you, like, how's the baby when you're 4 months pregnant or something? Right. I don't know. It's growing fingernails, or like, the lungs are developing. Like it's so murky. And then I thought it was like, we thought we were ready to do it. And then it wasn't quite ready. It was like labor.
Yeah.
And so I would joke with my mom friend, oh, we're probably this far along or whatever. But that's how I felt. So I think someone needs to be ready for that kind of journey.
And also, too, I think there's a lot of that whole blood, sweat, and tears. We've cried together. We've laughed together. We've made mistakes together. We've had great successes together. It's a journey, and it's not simple. And I think that's the main thing I would pass along. Be ready for it, but be committed to it. It can be definitely very rewarding, which has been our experience.
Yeah, I love that. And, it's interesting because Jenna Kutcher recently came out with a book last year, and she said the exact same thing, that it was like birthing a child. She was like, it is just like birthing a child. And I'm sure she had lots of help writing, getting that book out to the world, right? And I am just so excited about this. You guys, if you haven't seen this book before, Guide to Smart Wedding Planning, I'm holding it up in our YouTube video. You can go take a peek. You can also get it from the show notes. We'll link it in the show notes below. And ladies, where can people keep up with you? Where can they follow you?
Yeah. As The Real Deal Wedding Insiders, that is our website. Things are going to constantly be coming there. We're at Wedding Insiders on Instagram.
Okay.
I am at Jerry Floral, Jeri Floral. Edna?
PFD_creative on Instagram, and we are on Facebook, and we're on TikTok, and Real Deal Wedding Insiders. We're everywhere. Where everyone is, we're there.
And we're also, the book is currently at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and wherever books are sold, and also soon available on our website through us directly.
I was actually going to ask that. If there's a planner or a venue that wants to gift these, do you do bulk ordering? Can they contact you directly for possibly a bulk order?
Yeah. Have them come to us directly.
Yeah, go to the website, and there's an email right there, and it comes to me, and I will respond to them. And it would be my pleasure. That would be amazing.
Yeah, you guys check the book out, really, because I think most planners, most wedding pros, honestly, will find the advice to be very practical no matter what market you're in. It's not market specific. The information
and we were very careful to do that. And also it's very kind of gender neutral
Yes.
and
Mhm.
we really wanted this book to be for everybody.
Yeah, and it's
Getting
just a fun read. Yeah,
Yes.
your clients will really have a great time with it. It'll help you to maybe not say the same things over and over again in the beginning. And so I highly recommend it as a client gift. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So ladies, thank you so much for being here. This was
you.
great.
Thank you for having us. It was really a pleasure.